series, the first Scholars Portal lecture. Uh, as you can see, the topic, a very special topic, I think not only for humanities, but for any discipline of study where research marks an important, what should I say, research marks an important phase of knowing the world with a conscious mind and a conscious earth. With this uh, few words, I welcome today's dignitaries on the stage. First and foremost, I request Principal of the College, Dr. Hena Sinha, Chairperson of Professor Omiya Rao Lecture Series, to come on the dais. I request today's resource person, Srimati Manashita Sinha, student, University of Delhi, to come on the dais. I request Head of the Department of English, Berhampore Girls College, to come on the dais. We have the felicitation ceremony. Before we begin the felicitation, I shall request today's resource person, Manushita Sinha, to offer the garland on Professor Omiya Rao's portrait. I request Principal Madam and Binoy Sir to also assist her. Uh, The felicitation shall be helped by our two student volunteers, Vinita and Bonisha. First and foremost, I request them to felicitate Chairperson, Principal Madam. We can have a round of applause. Now we shall felicitate today's resource person, Manushita Sinha. I request our student volunteers to kindly felicitate Professor Binoy Damo, Head of the Department of English. Now today is a very special day, uh, not only because of the fact that we have an important speaker today. Uh, she is very bright and obviously um, her research work and her attempt at research had been a mark of fineness and authenticity. Today is also a very special moment because we have mother and daughter on the same dance. So that also should be applauded. Uh, Thank you. I now request Principal Madam to deliver the welcome address.
সুস্বাগতম। ইংরেজি বিভাগ আয়োজিত স্বনামধন্য অধ্যক্ষের নামে যে লেকচার সিরিজ অমিয়াদাও মেমোরিয়াল লেকচার সিরিজ, সেই সিরিজের স্কলার পোর্টালের আজকে প্রথম আলোচনা সভা। এই আলোচনা সভায় উপস্থিত ইংরেজি বিভাগের বিভাগীয় প্রধান সহ সকল অধ্যাপক বৃন্দ, সকলকে আমি এই সুন্দর আয়োজনের জন্য আন্তরিকভাবে সাধুবাদ জানাই এবং আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠানে স্বাগত জানাই। বহরমপুর গার্লস কলেজের পক্ষ থেকে আজকের লেকচার তিনি দিতে এসেছেন মনস্বিতা সিনহা, তাকে আমি বহরমপুর গার্লস কলেজের পক্ষ থেকে আন্তরিকভাবে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি এবং সঙ্গে কৃতজ্ঞতাও তার পড়াশোনার ফাঁকে পাঠ্যক্রম আমার সঙ্গে কখন কথা বলে সে সহমতি দিয়ে আছে এখানে উপস্থিত হয়েছে। স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি আমাদের অন্যান্য অধ্যাপক, শিক্ষাকর্মী এবং আমার প্রিয় ছাত্রী। স্বাগত ভাষণ এখানে যোগদানের পর থেকে প্রতি অনুষ্ঠানেই দিই, এটাই নীতি। আজকে যেন একটু অন্যরকম অনুভূতি, একটা অন্যরকম অনুভবে সারা শরীর মন ঘুরে যাচ্ছে। কারণ আজকের বক্তা পাঠ্যক্রম আগেই বলেছেন তিনি সম্পর্কে আমার আন্তর্জাল। সে আজও ছাত্রী, সে শিখছে। আপনারা যারা ওর মাস্টার মশাই অধ্যাপক যারা রয়েছেন, ওর বক্তব্যের অসম্পূর্ণতা, ত্রুটি বিচ্যুতি সংশোধন করে ওকে আরো শেখাবেন। আর যারা আমার ছাত্রী, ওর বন্ধু, দিদি বা বোন, তোমরা ওর সঙ্গে সহযোগিতা করে বিষয়টিকে আনন্দ ভাগাভাগি করে নিয়ে একটা সুন্দর আলোচনায় নিতে হবে। তাহলেই আমরা সকলেই একটা ভালো দিয়ে এর রুম থেকে যেতে পারব। আমি আর বেশি কথা না বলে আজকে এই সুন্দর অনুষ্ঠানের শুভ উদ্বোধন ঘোষণা করছি।
Request Head of the Department of English, Professor Binoy Damo, to kindly deliver his inaugural address.
Respected colleagues, uh, our own dear speaker, Manashita Sinha, and my students. We have assembled here again. Since we last assembled when Dr. Dhubajyoti Sarkar sir, he gave a lecture in this series, Professor Omiya Rao Memorial Lecture Series. So you know that to respect that person, she was the first founder principal of this college. She wanted to uplift the status of women. She wanted the emancipation of women through education and very other means. So she was a dreamer to realize the dream of the founder principal, Professor Omiya Rao. We are arranging regularly this lecture series. And the purpose of this lecture series is to enlighten and to enrich our students for your knowledge, for your enrichment. We are trying to bring the bright scholars from the various places of the country. Today, the speaker, Manashita Sinha, she is a student of University of Delhi. She will speak on academic writing. As we know that research work has been incorporated in our syllabus. Those who write dissertations in PG Sim, and also it is included in the UG syllabus. So how to write a dissertation paper or how to write any academic writing, you are very poor, very weak in the sense that you don't have publications in journals, you don't know how to write for journals, you only know how to write for examination, how to memorize the notes, and how to actually write them or copy them in the examination hall. Besides this, you have no knowledge that how the world of academic writing or academia, the academic world works actually. You should have some publications. You should write in the journals. You should write as book chapters. So I think that today's lecture will enlighten you and enrich you, and it will inspire you in your academic writing practices. Thank you all.
Vinay. Now, with the end of the inaugural session, we shall begin the technical session. Let me give a short today's speaker upon completion of her Madhyamik and Higher Secondary from Katiraja Monindra Chandra Girls High School. She pursued undergraduate degree BA Honours in English from Ramjosh College, University of Delhi, and Masters in English from Department of English, University of Delhi. She is passionate about post-colonial literature, partition literature, women's writing, and graphic narratives, and keen to contribute to ongoing research initiatives, especially those that explore marginalized voices, memory trauma, and the interplay between text and image. She has attended seminars and also published a paper. With these few words, I request Manushita to begin her presentation.
এটা আমার ছোট মেয়ে
Hello, good evening. So very outset, I would like to praise the Berhampore Girls College all the teaching and non-teaching staff, and especially the Department of English, Berhampore Girls College, for providing me this big stage here. When I was having this conversation with Dr. Parthasarathy regarding this talk, I was overwhelmed with joy to share a space with you all in this Institute of Deep-Rooted Leaders. I'm not a student now, I'm still learning, so I may make some mistakes, but I'll try my best to explain my thoughts. This session is meant for my friends who are going to write the dissertations very soon. With the permission, I will introduce my topic of this talk, from concept to completion, navigating the dissertation writing journey. Today we are going to talk about something that often feels like a huge mountain to climb for students and researchers. Writing a dissertation. A dissertation isn't just a long essay, it's a piece of original research that focuses your ability to think critically, analytically, and contribute meaningfully to the field of study. But while the idea of writing a dissertation can feel overwhelming, breaking it down into clear steps makes the process much more manageable. In this session, we will explore how to approach dissertation writing, from choosing a topic, structuring chapters, and conducting research, to drafting, editing, and presenting a final note. Our first step is going to be choosing a topic. In order to choose a topic, we need to first know what is the area of discourse we are most interested in. If we are talking about English literature, first we will try to find out our preferred genre and subgenre. Genre is the process of classification where we categorize work based on shared form, style, and theme. And subgenre is a smaller, more specific category within a larger genre. So you can think of genre to be a large parasol under which we have other subgenres. If we are looking at genre through the lens of factual validity, we can classify them into categories, fiction and non-fiction. If we are classifying them through the lens of literary form, then we have poetry, short stories, novels, dramas. If we are trying to categorize genres through the lens of timelines, we see that there are works that will share certain characteristics with their contemporary works. So the social setting will be influencing the literature of that period. In that way, we have the literary period division and then Renaissance literature genre or Victorian literature genre, Romantic period genre. And once we are certain amount of genre, we will be creating out of subgenre we will be working. The subgenre will be again based on classified based on suppose the place of the work takes into account. The sector is the what is it. In this way, we have or we have women issues in our subdivision. We will be taking the example of our topic, representation of women in particular literature, to exemplify all the stages of presentation writing. So when I am trying to find a topic, I will be thinking about the genre as fiction. In fiction, I have novels. So when I'm thinking of novels, I would be focusing mostly on factual literature and factual literature of India. And when I'm thinking of factual literature of India, I will be focusing more on the faction of Bengal region. And then I will be focusing on the experiences of women, how they dealt with their past and their present, how they dealt with the experiences of partition. In this way, we will find out our genre and subgenre. Here, one more thing needs to be mentioned, that is, the boundaries between genres and subgenres are very much fluid. They are not very rigid. So I will have certain characteristics of a few of a word. We will have words that will be sharing certain characteristics with more than one genre and subgenre. But we need to still find our preferred genre and subgenre in order to understand the text form, style, and cultural rule. From the very beginning, we will be setting up our expectation from the text. So once we have found out our preferred genres and subgenre and our text, then we will be focusing on the research gap or the research question. In order to find out the research gap, we need to first know what all are already there. If I am working on fertility again, then I will be focusing on the broader aspect, or I will be reading the materials that will circumscribe the broader aspect of action literature. Whatever your research area is, the first you need to read the work that will be talking about the various aspects of your research area. Then you will be reading other works that are talking about various aspects of the work of the literary text you are going to examine. If I am going to examine partition of India, I will be reading to know about the background of the research area. I will be reading Garendra Pandey's work remembering partition, or I will be reading to understand the experiences of women. I will be reading Borders and Boundaries by Kamala Harris. So once I know what all are already there, I will find the gap where I will be inserting my work. This is how you will find your research. Once you have found your research question and your research gap, you will try to gather your material. How will you gather your material? You will first again read the background materials that are talking mostly about your research area. And then you will also read the work that have been published in last 10 years. Suppose you are writing in 2025. So you will try to find out works that are published in 2015, 16, 17. This will help you understand how the topic you are working on has been developed, how the topic has been critically analyzed so far. This will help you to understand the trend of that topic. And then when you are gathering your materials, you will come across certain words that are arguing against the direction you are going to argue. If I am going to argue that there are certain words that are focusing women, they're not focusing on women's experiences, but they are using women to talk about some larger issues. And there are other words that are only focusing on the experiences of women of partition. Then I might find certain work that we partly know there is no such distinction or there is no such problem in the representation, and it is more or less the same in all the works. So in my work, I will be arguing against these arguments. So I need to make a note of all the counter arguments of my work as well. Once I have gathered my material, I will be writing my abstract. The writing of an abstract will be a top-down process. First, you start with the broader introduction, the broader background of the topic. You will be writing the historical, political, social background of the topic. Suppose I am working on partition literature, so first I will be writing what all led to partition. What is the historical and political background of partition? How the partition impacted the society. There was this social upheaval, there was social disharmony and communal riots were sparked. And then I will be writing, and once I have written the introduction, once I have given the background of the topic, I will come close to my topic. Then I will, after giving the background of partition, I will be writing that in partition, women's bodies became battlegrounds for certain religions to establish their religious superiority. This is how I will be bringing women to my topic, and then I will be writing the importance of literature to mirror these experiences of women, how violence were inflicted upon them, and I will be bringing literature in this topic. And then my next step will be writing the thesis statement. You will be writing it under any other headline. It would be included in your abstract comment. Your thesis statement would be answering three questions. what, how, and what. What you are going to show in this paper, how you are going to show it, and why it is important to talk about it. In what part you will be writing that what you are going to show, what you are going to argue. If I am writing about experiences of partition, I will be writing that or the presentation of women in partition literature. I will be writing that there is words that, as I mentioned earlier, there are words that use women only as metaphors and do not really take into account the experiences, the traumatic path they have been through. Why other words that are only focusing on women's experiences and how they were struggling to grapple with the reality. With this what part, I will be coming to the next part, that is how part. In your how part, you will be giving the examples. You will be saying that by examining these words, whatever literary takes you are taking, you might take some films, you might take some photograph, whatever takes you are taking, you will be mentioning them in this part, and you will be saying that upon examining this work, I will be to my point. In this work, I have seen that suppose I am talking about Sri Gangavakar's book. I will be writing that in Sri Gangavakar's novel Arjun, the female character Lavanya after her sexual harassment at the primary. Whereas I see in Ekarbango by Mutimoi Devi, Shudara's experiences of partition are highlighted. Then in how part you will be also mentioning the research methodology you are undertaking. The research methodology for humanity students is a bit different, not totally different from the science students. It's a little bit different, where you will be looking at the archives, or you will be looking at the autobiography or biography. You will be looking at the discourse, or you are looking at the textual analysis. I will be telling them this experience. If we were looking at the archives, suppose you are going to examine certain art forms that are not in existence, or you are going to work on certain bills or certain gadgets that have been published and that have been preserved in the archives. So you can look into the archival materials and you can do a thorough study of them. Then you can critically analyze those works. Safia Hartman has this work, Venus in Two Words, where she wanted to look at the record where there was a mention of endangered female laborers from Indian continents. There she found that whenever some kind of violence had been inflicted upon women laborers, only then there were mention of the women. Otherwise, there was no mention of the women that were transported from Indian continent to other plantations. This is just an example. So based on that, she will be drawing her argument. So when you are looking at the archival materials, you will be doing a thorough study of them, and then you will be analyzing those materials, and then it will be drawing your argument. Then you can do a autobiographical or biographical study. Autobiography and biography, they do not only give you better information about the person it is talking about, but it will also help you to understand the person in that particular social setting. How the social setting impacted the course of their life. This also you can understand and analyze from the autobiographical and biographical methods. Then there is another is discourse analysis. The discourse analysis involves examination of how talking about certain things in a certain way, certain ways, privileges and normalizes certain frame of thinking, whereas it marginalizes other frame of thinking. If I have movies only portraying women as passive, as silent, as submissive, then there is a dominant discourse of gender that becomes normalized. Women are supposed to be silent and submissive. This kind of dominant, this kind of analysis of the dominant discourse also you can pick up the methodology of discourse study. Then there are textual analysis. To take up your literary text, as you are all English media students, you will know it better. And you will take up your literary text, you will study its background, and also as new critics say, that you will be forgetting about the author, about the background, about everything, and you will do a close reading of the text. But the text is telling you. So this is how you are going to analyze your text. And then you have the interview methodology. Suppose you are working on something, for that you need to know what the people of contemporary world are thinking. If I am working on uh, performative leadership, if I am working how social media impacts leadership, the auditing habits, then I will be going around interviewing people who are reading, what all they are reading or what kind of literature they are reading and how what influence them to read those kind of books. And I can also interview the shopkeepers who are selling those books. And based on that, I will be drawing my arguments and when I am analyzing interviews, I have also keep in mind that the gestures of the people you are interviewing and their the gap they are putting between certain words or the spaces they are putting on certain words and like their body language, everything matters when you are analyzing their interview. Then you have the visual methodology. Visual methodology takes into account the visual mediums. You have photographs, films, certain painting, culture. You can analyze them and you will also try to understand who are the creator, what was the social setting, what motivated the creator to make certain paintings or certain sculptures. You will also, if you are analyzing photograph, you will see that there are certain materials that have been focused in the photograph, and that and the background of the photograph, or everything needs to be taken into account to examine those work and analyze. Once you have these all things, you can take up any one of these methodologies or you can do fixed methodology, where you will be taking more than one of these methods and it will be analyzing phase. And you this whatever methodology you are taking need to be mentioned in your how part. Second part of the technique. Then you have the last part that is why part. In why part you will be writing what is the new thing you are bringing to the table and why it is important to talk about this, talk about your topic in this contemporary work. What is this important in your discussion? Once you have written your abstract, you will be writing your keywords. Keywords are 5 to 6 central words to your topic. There is a trick to figure out your keywords that will be suppose you are trying to find out a paper online. In the search bar, you will put a few words, and based on that, a few words will be suggested. You have to think about your work in this way that what all work I can put in the search bar. Based on that, my work will be suggested. Those few words will be your keyword. The limit for the abstract would range around 250 to 300 words, including the keywords. Keyword would be around 5 to 6 words. After this step, the introduction. In your introduction, you will be writing the background of the topic you are working on, the social, political, historical background. But in this section, you will be also giving the reference. You were not present at that time the things were happening. So how did you get an idea of that background? You have read certain authors and their work, and based on that, you are drawing your idea of that work. So you need to mention the work you have read to draw the idea of the background. And after mentioning the background, you will be also saying, you will be also writing the arguments you are going to elaborate or you are going to substantiate in the body of the presentation. Suppose you are going to write, if you are not going to give any kind of summary of the case, summary does not included in your introduction or in the body of your presentation. Do not summarize any of the text, but give them the fun argument in precise. And then, suppose I am working on partition literature and information of women in partition literature, I will be saying that in these works, I have found that women are in fashion. These works I saw that women experiences are highlighted. And based on these, I am going to argue that whereas some narratives highlight women only as metaphors, This will also lead to the discourse analysis of that of how women are represented. Discourse analysis, we have women as subject, women as silent, women as mindfulness. And in the narrative also we see that women are being silent. So based on that, I will be drawing my argument. In my introduction, I will be writing the argument that I am going to elaborate in the body of my dissertation. Then comes the literature review. In literature review, while you have gathered material, from those materials, you will be showcasing 5 to 6 works in this literature review section. You won't give the summary of that work, but you will give the central argument, the crux of the argument in this section by mentioning the author's name and the name of the paper or the book. You will write the central argument and also you will be saying why it is important and relevant for your work. If I am mentioning, suppose there is a next word, partition of Bengal, federal borders, and new identities. In her work, she has mentioned that women are used only as women, what is the use to inflict violence on them in order to place some superiority. And based on that, I will be saying that this will help me understand the representation of women in my partition, the partition literature or the partition novel I am examining. And this will also help me understand the how the women are looked at or how the women's bodies were only dealt as objects. Then after in literature review, you will be also mentioning the work that have been published in last 10 years. This will appear. I have argued or I have said earlier that this will help the reader to understand the trend of your topic. So you will be mentioning 1 or 2 works that have been published in last 10 years in the direction of your topic. The work limit for literature review and introduction would range around 1,000 to 1,200 words. In the next step, you have the body of presentation. In your body of presentation, you have to think of yourself to be a guide where you will be holding the hands of your reader and guide them through your work. If I am thinking myself as a guide, then I should not include any word that will distract any word or any sentence that will distract the attention of the reader. So I need to be very focused. My argument should be crisp and very much precise and well structured, and those will be logically based on the arguments that have been already there in existence. I should not mention any argument that might sound like what we do. I felt like it, that's why I wrote it. It should not sound like that. It must be based on the arguments that are already there. If I am drawing an argument on the representation of women, I have been mentioning the work representation partition of Bengal, primary border, and new ability. Or I will mention the first women or complementary to women. Based on these arguments, I will be drawing my argument. Quoting of the text is also necessary. You will be quoting certain relevant portion of the text that will help you prove your point. Based on these quotes or these lines or these sections of this text, I am drawing this argument. While you are quoting any line or any sentence, after you have quoted the sentence, you will be writing the last name of the author and the page in which the argument or the quote from the in parentheses. If I am quoting any line from Narendra Pandey's work, I will be writing Pandey, and suppose it was in page 57, so I will be writing Pandey, 57 in parentheses. And yeah, and based on the arguments you have written, you will be drawing your conclusion. This conclusion, when I say conclusion, I do not mean conclusion in relation to the entire paper. I mean conclusion in relation to the arguments you have written in your body of the dissertation. So, if the conclusion can be decisive or left open-ended. By decisive, I mean you say that this is better or this is worse or this is how it had happened. But when I say left open-ended, I do not need you do not conclude it at all. You cannot decide what is better or what is worse, but you leave the ground for more discussions to follow. And in your what is the dissertation, you will be including subheadings as well. There is also another trick to find out your subheading. Suppose you don't have much time to read a piece of work thoroughly, but you want to know if it is going to be relevant for your work. So you will be going through the subheadings of that work and find out the central arguments of that work. You have to think about your work in the same way only, where you will be thinking about your work, that what all subheadings can give a person the central arguments of my topic, of my paper. So that is how you are going to figure out your subject. Then you have the conclusion part. This is what I meant when I said conclusion in relation to the entire paper. So in conclusion, you will be mentioning what is the new thing you are bringing to the table. What is the importance of your work in your discourse, and what is its relevance in contemporary work? If you are working on 18th century literature, someone might say it is 2nd century literature and we are living in 21st century. So what is important? So here in this section, you will be mentioning what is the importance in contemporary work. In this section, you want to mention any scholar, any reference, but you will mention what is your takeaway of this work. Comes the next section, note section. In this section, you will be giving the definition or describing certain, you will give a definition of certain terms that you couldn't really describe or put the definition of the dissertation. Or you will be also, you can also give the sources of the quotations or the references you have mentioned in the body of the work. This will be ordered in numerically. You will be numbering all the terms or quotations or references in the order they had come up in your paper, and based on that, against the same number, you will be mentioning about the same term or same quotation or references you had mentioned earlier. Then comes the final section, that will be your bibliography section. In bibliography section, you can classify your work in primary readings and secondary reading sections. But you will be mentioning the primary work. In primary section, the text you have really analyzed or really examined in your paper. Those will be your primary readings and secondary readings. All the analytical works are all there can be some primary, some literary works as well, some stories, some poetry that can be that can also come under your secondary reading. Secondary readings will be helping you to understand the primary reading. Now you will figure out your primary reading and secondary reading. You can also mention if you have taken help of some gadgets, then you will be mentioning them under the heading of official persons used. And if you have taken help of some newspaper reporting, you will be also mentioning them in this section under the heading of newspaper reports. Then this will be ordered alphabetically. You can the words that can help you to understand the broader aspect of the work and also help you to get an idea of the background and the outline of your work will also be included in this section. You might not have mentioned them in your presentation, but they have helped you to get an idea of your area. So those words will also be mentioned in your bibliography section. This will be ordered in alphabetical order. According to Modern Language Association 9th edition, you have to organize your bibliography in a certain way. That is, you will be writing the last name of the author, followed by a comma. Then you will be writing the first name of the author, full stop. Then if it is a book, then you will be writing the title of the book in italics. Then you will be writing the publication company. So far, we have to also mention the place of publication. But according to 9th edition of the MLA, you do not have to mention the place of publication. After the publication company, you put a comma. Write the year it was published. and you put a full stop. If you are mentioning any article or any essay, and you will be writing the last name of the author followed by a comma, and the first name of the author, full stop. Then the title of the essay will be within inverted commas. Do not write the title of the essay in italics. Write them in the inverted commas. But the magazine or the journal in which it was published will be the title of that magazine or journal will be identified. Then you put a full stop and you write volume or issue or number. Then you write the year it was published, the page number, write it was in. Then, if you have accessed them offline, you have to write till here. If you have accessed them online, you will be writing. You will be writing the name of the database. You will be writing the name of the database in italics. Suppose we have platforms like Gestor or Project News. You will be mentioning them in italics. Then you will be putting a comma. Then you will also paste the URL of that particular article from the database. After that, you will put a full stop and it will be done with your work. This is how you are going to go about the business scheme. I hope the question has been good and provided you with the roadmap to make dissertation less intimidating and much more accurate. So, as you prepare for your own dissertation writing journey, think of it as not as a hurdle, but as the final stage that will showcase your knowledge, your skills, and all the effort you have put into your work. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best for it.
As we we are now in the midst of technical, meaning all UG students, they will also take dissertation writing in the final semester. So, as well as our PT students, they are going to write their dissertation in the fourth sem. So, all UG and keeping this in mind, our department selected this first lecture series to be on dissertation writing because all of you would require this. And the simple and lucid way and in a calm, composed manner, Manushita focused and detailed about this topic in such an easy way, but in such a detailed way. I kind of congratulate her, and I also request her, I would request to share this slide with us so that our students would require it and have resource to it in their future dissertation writing. Now, the session is open for interaction. If you have any question, you may ask the resource person. There is nothing to be feel ashamed, embarrassed about because this is something which should be clear in your mind from now onward, right? Because although we would have classes on this, but in such a small time, she has explained the entire process so beautifully and also in a calm and composed manner. So if you have any question, any doubt with regard to any part of the dissertation, you can ask her. One thing I would tell you that research writing is about authenticity. Research writing is about originality. Research writing is about finding something new. That is what research is. So research writing is not imitation, not copying. Therefore, research writing should be pursued with a loving heart, with a caring heart, and with a genuineness of the soul. That is what is required from all of you. You genuinely love literature, and therefore you are students of literature. So research writing is to sustain, nourish, and cherish that love for literature throughout the process, and research writing is the culmination of your journey. So be loving towards the subject you are studying. If you have any question, you can ask. Well, then I shall ask her a question. It's not a question, rather I would you feel that with the surge of AI that we have today, to an extent, will it help, will it diminish, or will it try to sustain research interest in students?
I really appreciate that there is some kind of AI will help you to say you don't have to like really write the research work and they will be writing work. Based on that, they will be writing your research. But when we are focusing on research work, there is also a way of finding out if you have any AI activity and to what extent you are using. But as a student, I can say that if you have that mind who is always facing, but if you have the mind which is also want to know something or want to contribute to the field of research, then I don't think you will be using the AI as seriously as you don't have any opportunity. So if you have that heart, where you have some love for it, and you need to understand, you might take the help of AI to figure out certain words and you have you can use the AI to find out if there are words that is sharing the same thing with another person as well. But the research work, the analysis and the argument will be worked on top of it.
Thank you so much. You answered it beautifully. Suppose I have learned for visiting a library now, and I need to know the names of a couple of books. I need to prepare not for my dissertation, but suppose for my dissertation on a topic I want to pursue in my dissertation. I would like to know about some books, their bibliography. Okay, that Google will also give, AI will also give in a refined way, maybe. That help I think we can take. Yes, that help we can take, but not say write about this theme, right? Because you see, AI is also very smart, right? And the language of AI, we also know that language, right? So AI will give an answer to one, say, student number A, and if the same prompt is given by student number B, AI will give the same answer but in a different way, slightly different way, but the language, for instance, will be same. Right? So, as we say, and as we say, that research writing is about genuine love. You can use the AI, but in a very, what should I say, in a refined way, in order to help in your process of dissertation, and not work parallelly, meaning you and your AI are working parallelly on dissertation, that won't do. Right. That won't be showing your love for literature, because that would also not be an authentic work. Well, with this observations, we shall we have rather come to the end of the session. I request Professor Koil Ganguli to deliver the vote of thanks.
Afternoon, everyone. Excuse me for my sore throat. Well, founded in 1946 by Professor Amiya Rao, an illustrious woman emancipator and a staunch advocate of individual liberty, and her husband, Mr. B.G. Rao, the then collector of Murshidabad, Berhampore Girls College is an institution that actually focuses on robust academic, I would say, atmosphere and cultural basis that is peerless in the state of West Bengal. It is one of the most premier institutions, one of the first colleges that is purely for the girls, for the empowerment of the girls. We all know that the motto of our institution is VIDYA YA BIMUKTAYE. It is knowledge that liberates. So, upholding the dreams of the illustrious founders of this peerless institution, the Department of English, as all the other departments of the college, try to keep up the expectations and foster the same academic atmosphere throughout. Keeping in mind the kind of academic ethos of the institution and facing the challenges of the world that is changing, the society that is changing. So I would say it is becoming vigorous. The changes are vigorous these days. But we are trying to foster the academic atmosphere of the college in all the ways. So this annual lecture series is a part of the same effort. Coming to the vote of thanks, I will of course first and foremost thank the president of the governing body, Srinar Gopal Mukherjee sir, for supporting and fostering the academic ideals for the betterment of the institution, for encouraging everything that is for the betterment of the institution. I would, of course, thank the college, the external as well as the internal members of the governing body for always supporting the causes of good. I would next congratulate and deliver felt thanks on behalf of the Department of English to respected Dr. Hena Sinha Madam for always encouraging and supporting us in our endeavors. I would, of course, thank the departmental head, Professor Binoy Dongul sir, for seeing such seminars. I would thank on behalf of the Department of English, Dr. Partho Shanti sir, for conceptualizing, conceiving such a lecture series and executing it with grace and dignity. I would thank all the teachers of the Department of English for keeping up the spirit of the department and supporting the academic cause and the causes that we always look forward to. Srimati Mamita, our student speaker. She's a scholar. She is a very eminent student because I used to know her name when she was a student at Kavi. Some of my acquaintances from Kavi used to say, "Ma'am, we have a batchmate Manushrita who is a very good student. She is the topper. She was the topper, I think, in HS in cutting subdivision. I got to know from them. So later I knew that she is the daughter of our principal man. So I congratulate her. I wish her all the success in life. She had been extremely intimate and extremely, I would say, intuitive and close, analytical, incisive in the way she spoke today. She spoke in an extremely student friendly manner. I think it was beneficial for you. So you can keep in touch with her. You can get a lot of help in writing your dissertation paper. We are there. But as a student, as she shared the hurdles that she faced, so you can also share. Maybe you are shy today and you could not come up with your questions, with your queries, but when you will write your individual dissertation papers, you may face some problems and you may reach out to her. I would thank the staff of the college for the technical assistance that they always provide. Last but not the least, thank you, dear students, for being patient and cooperating with all the novel initiatives of the department and the college. Thank you so much. Thank you.
With the permission of the chairperson, our lecture ends today. Thank you all.
এই সবাই এখানে ফোন করবেন আমি
এখানে কে দেখছে we are going to take time.
আগামী কালকে সামনের শিক্ষা, হ্যাঁ, সামনের শিক্ষা একদম নতুন শিক্ষা এই হ্যাঁ অন্য বলছি শোনো না হয়ে গেছে, হ্যাঁ, তুমি ওটা লিখে দিতে স্পট করে দিয়ে করতে যাও। কি বন্ধ করতে হবে বলো? আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ